Bring the parties together and stop the killing. That's the game plan.
Well, let's speak now to Michael Bosiukiv, who's Senior Fellow at the Atlantic Council and joins me from Odessa. Michael, thank you very much for joining us here on BBC News. So does Steve Witkoff speak for the whole administration? And how do these comments set the tone for ceasefire talks this week?
Good to be with you. Well, first of all, the ceasefire couldn't seem more further away. I just moments ago, before I ran in to do this, air raid sirens went off again today here in Odessa, probably for the third or fourth time. I do think Mr. Witkoff is parroting the thoughts very closely of Mr. Trump. I mean, there's praise for Mr. Putin and that he's interested in peace. I really think that if Mr. Putin respected Mr. Trump and Mr. Witkoff, he would stop the firing and at least demonstrate that there are chances for peace. But instead, it's going the other way here. It's actually getting worse. There is escalation going on. So I also feel that you mentioned his remarks about Mr. Starmer's plan. It borders on ridicule. I think it's looking as if, at least from Ukrainian eyes, that the United States is becoming less and less a credible partner, a credible interlocutor for these talks. I don't think they plan to get very much out of them.
So the British Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, had planned for an international force to support a ceasefire in Ukraine. If Mr. Witkoff is dismissing this as a posture, what is he suggesting in its place?
They're not suggesting much in its place. They're going on trusting Mr. Putin, and this is a man not to be trusted. Now, having said that, I should also point out that Mr. Starmer seems to be backtracking on plans to put boots on the ground here in Ukraine. He's looking more at the air and the sea. You can imagine how that's received in Moscow. They're probably wondering, can these guys be taken seriously as well? The other thing that's been noticed in this region, Ukraine, Moldova, and elsewhere, is the inability of the EU to come together to help things. And I'll just reference their inability to come up with $120 million or so to save Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. This is the digital Berlin Wall against Russian disinformation. Everyone knows how important it is, but yet they can't even come up with the funding for that. So hopes here in Ukraine, again, you can't blame them for being a bit skeptical of the help being offered.
So what do you expect to take place as part of these ceasefire talks this week, Michael?
Yeah, well, if it goes anything like the previous one, the Russians, and I'm sorry if I'm sounding a little bit skeptical, but I'm just trying to be realistic, the Russians will probably come out with more concessions without offering very much in return. If you widen out the lens a little bit, it does look like, with the help of the United States, we're looking at the partitioning of assets of Ukraine, the partitioning of lands. Mr. Witkoff mentioned the 4 oblasts that Russia would probably get, plus Crimea. Let's see how the Ukrainians fare as well. I mean, of course, the most interesting part will be if we get to where we were at the beginning of the war, where the Russians and Ukrainians face each other from across the same table and go beyond simply the exchange of prisoners and that sort of thing.
Michael, you're in Odessa, and you said when we started talking that you were still hearing airstrikes in the skies above you. So the war very much still continues. What do people where you are make of these comments and the situation going into the ceasefire talks?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, as I walked here, it was air raid sirens, actually. But there were explosions, big ones here just quite recently, including by the port. So on the one hand, Ukrainians are very resilient, especially here in Odessa. They're going about their normal lives. A lot of them actually tell me they don't check the Telegram channels or the news anymore because it just makes them so depressed. If they look forward, there is a certain darkness because peace doesn't seem any closer. And then I should also tell you, a lot of people from here have gone to the United States. There are about 200,000 or so asylum seekers in the United States at the moment, and they're waiting to find out whether the Trump administration will lift their protective status, in which case they do, they will have to find another place to live. So that's causing extra anxiety at the moment, not only here, but across the ocean too.
Michael, thank you for your time. That's Michael Bosiukiv, the Senior Fellow at the Atlantic Council.